Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciate that. Thank you to my subscribers and followers. I muchly appreciate your support. Please share it with your friends and family. Muchly appreciate that as well. Helps the channel grow as we build a good, solid family podcast here for Habs fans. And if you come across the channel, please don't leave without subscribing and hitting the likes. All right, let's get to it. This was a Saturday night hockey game. Habs versus the Sens. Uh, which everybody, if you're a Habs fan or a Sens fan, you're going to be up for this. And so it was, excuse me. I got the hiccups. So let's get right down to it. We ended up with a 6-5 victory in overtime for the Habs, which was uh, um, quite the thing to me because I wasn't impressed when I actually uh, wasn't impressed with a portion of this game. The way we were playing very flat, sloppy in our own end, and just a little bit of that continual lackadaisicalness that the Habs seem to have had in them for 2 or 3 games now. However, we came out with the win and we showed resilience, which is good. This is the difference we know that with this young squad. A couple of years ago, they wouldn't have showed that fight back. They would have just hung up the towel. They were down 2 goals in the third, and they came back and won this thing 6-5 uh, in overtime. So that's quite a good feat that they did not quit. Let's go to the period scoring summary. We got 2 goals to none for Montreal in the first, so we come out with a 2-0 lead. We managed to blow it and allow Ottawa to destroy us in the second. And they score 4 and we score 1. So Ottawa at that point's up for 4-3. Then we go into the third. Ottawa takes a 2-goal lead. However, the Habs get 2 of their own in response when you thought the Habs were dead. And this is a changing point. They explode with 2 goals and then push it to overtime. So 2 goals to 1 for Habs in the third and 1 goal for the Habs in overtime, which is quite an impressive feat. The way they did show team effort and coming back. Several players that stood out to me were Slavkovsky, Caulfield, even Josh Anderson. These guys had forward-wise, they had a really strong game. Demidov had a good strong game as well. And Susie was pretty good. But those were the players that really stood out up front for Montreal. Matheson seemed to have a very strong game, and Dobson again too. Carrier, it was the funny thing. I was very pissed with Alexander Carrier because you looked at, a good 3 or 4 of those goals. Seemed like he was kind of on the ice all the time when Montreal got scored on, and I was starting to get really ticked with him. And a few of those occasions, while he's on the ice, there's men he doesn't have covered. So he's making some errors in showing that. It's not he wasn't alone. Kapanen and Evans at times had some miscues as well, just not picking up their men properly. Even Demidov kind of missed on one defensively, where he should have tied a man up, and there was a goal scored on it because he didn't tie the stick up. However, so with a bit of the sloppy play, that we know Matheson, Dobson get caught every so often themselves. But Carrier had a very weak night that way, but he did come out with responding when it was timely and needed. So to me, that was a good make-up point when he tied this game. So it kind of took some of the effect of the negative things that he allowed to have, and he kind of it's like he made up for it a bit. Right. So let's go to the shots against Montembeau were 34, 5 goals. This is not an impressive goaltending game or defensive game, so Montreal shouldn't be proud of this. 6-5 is nothing to be impressed about. It tells you that your goaltending and your defensive schemes are just not there. This is not this was an offensive game all the way through, for sure. And Montreal's got to clean up. That I've said it all along with that defensive game, and I'm a little ticked off with the way they're treating. Um, they seem to be, it's almost here it is, and I'm gonna keep mentioning this. I'm very concerned that Dobish hasn't been playing near as much as the other two goaltenders, and it all seems to be deemed when I've seen Dobish is a huge reason why they got the victories to be in the position they're in. And I don't like the treatment of him in this situation. They had, you know, they're so pigheaded and bound to get that French boy in there, even when he was showing disastrous signs. And this game doesn't show very good qualities in his game. And it's not just him; it was the defense, no doubt about, or defensive play, I should say. Guys not picking up their men. But this is nothing to write home to mom about. And then this youngster who works so hard for you, what? Because he's not North American? Is that what it is? Because that's what it's starting to look like to me. Because he is the deserving goaltender, and Montembeault should be the least out of all three of these guys, playing the least, where the kids were doing more. So it seems like they've chosen to pick somebody had to be the outside guy out of the kids, so they chose it to be Dobish. And I think it's very unfair in the treatment of him. I hope it doesn't destroy his confidence. I think it's BS the way our coaching staff is handling this. It's one area, yeah, we got a good thing going chemistry wise and culture wise, but I do not accept the way they're handling this goaltending situation whatsoever. Monty is still Mr. Marshmallow Man. Yeah, he improved a little bit, but he's still letting the goals in left, right, and center. But a kid that has put you in the position of being in such a strong position, and you make this guy the sacrificial lamb. That's a pile of crap. And that's, like I said, I've got a problem with our defensive coach. I've got a problem with our goaltending coach, because the other night Fowler did not look sharp himself, and he usually looks much sharper than. And I will say he does look better than Monty, no doubt in my mind. Both kids do, but he didn't have a sharp game himself. He let some goals in that were not Fowler like goals to allow. Um, so I see a massive, and I've said this all along because I see it within all of our goaltenders. The style, they're always down to their knees far too quick and too often. Oh, just like they're playing from the knees down, like sliding around. There just seems to be so much of that, and they leave the upper net wide open. So to me, this goaltending coach needs to be replaced. And I do, and I'm sorry, you need a massive upgrade. I think the same thing for our defensive coach, and I know there's going to be, oh, he's doing, no, he's not doing a good job. Don't give me the garbage. We have not been able to settle down and get this defensive scheme going for this group yet. Yes, we managed to come up with victories, and they work hard. Thank God we have the culture that Marty's built. But as far as the systems, they're not working. The coaching staff is still not defensive wise getting through. And when I think they need a massive upgrade for somebody with experience that could handle and bring this defense group farther ahead. And I think it's needed now. We're at that competitive stage, and I think it's time for two upgrades instead of making a goaltender who got you here to this point suffer. It's BS, and like I say, the only common denominator I can find is first you got your French guy who you just keep giving him more chances in the world when he hasn't earned it. Dobish being the one that got you to this point, you shouldn't be making him the sacrificial lamb. And Fowler did a fine job coming in. So these two, in my book, I know they like to have. You can try to build. I got no problem if the idea is to build Montembeault's value up. Okay, if that's what you want to do, and use them right now before the trade deadline, and then trade them up. Okay, that's cool. But don't make these kids the sacrificial lambs for him. Don't. You better be coming out with that's your theory, or you're showing the true colors of something I hope is not happening, and it's a discriminative way to run an organization because he's the French kid, the French guy. You give him all the shots in the world, and then because we do know we have a phenom that's American, so it makes it almost look like okay, we'll keep the North Americans there, we'll keep the Czech kid on the outside. I sure hope that's not what's happening because I'm really resenting what they're doing that way. Because if you notice, They're going with Monty and Fowler a whole lot more than Dobish. Dobish seems to be the odd man out. And I think that's a horrible way to treat a guy who's gotten you to this point. So I would hope that they get him playing, whether Laval or whatever, to build his confidence, because it's on the coaching staff that he ever lost any confidence, because when he was hot, you didn't ride him. That's on the coaches. That even falls on Marty a bit, because he's gone along with that song and dance. I'm tired of it. I can't stand to see discrimination fall into sports, but it does. And when it's there, I'm going to call it out. And I sure hope that management is seeing what's going on here and can truly see, you know what, this guy doesn't deserve to be treated that way. So I sure hope they get their act together. Where your problem is, it's in the coaching of the defense and the goaltending. You need a massive upgrade at the NHL level. And like I said, I got no problem if you're trying to just build Monty's value up. But by trade deadline, boy, playoffs come, you better be giving the goaltenders who actually deserve it, who got them there, the opportunity. That's all I got to say. You've seen it here at Center Ice Productions, where the puck drops first. Had to throw that in there because I'm very upset in the handling of him. So let's go to other things very quickly. We'll go to the scoring. And sorry, I went into a rant. Couldn't help it because I just been watching this and it's really getting to me. So anyway, let's get right to it. 306, Slavkovsky has himself a night with 2 goals. Cole Caulfield has a night with 2 goals. And Courier had a goal there, and Anderson. So let's look. Slavkovsky had 306 on the power play, assisted by Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. That was nice to see. That gave us a 1-0 lead. Second period, we got Cole Caulfield on the power play, assisted by Suzuki and Hudson at 17:50. Second period, the Sens come on. Kachuk scores, assisted by Giroux and Sanderson. That makes it 2-1. Stutzel gets a beautiful goal that Courier should have never let him walk in. And it was just a ridiculous goal. Assisted by Cousins and Eller. And again, Monty being down on his knees, that goal shouldn't have happened. So I do put that on Monty as hugely as well. Bad read, already on his knees, ridiculous. You call that goaltending? So Brady Kachuk's goal comes at 42 seconds in the second. 307 Stutzel comes then. 428 Josh Anderson, 26, sorry. Josh Anderson scores a nice goal. Good read for him to shoot from the point through the screen, assisted by Matheson and Dobson. That was at 426. 15:31, Dylan Cousins ties things up on the power play. Stutzel assists, Sanderson assists. 18:24 of the second, David Perron scores, assisted by Zub and Sanderson. That puts the Sens up by 1. 4-3. Then we got 7:55. They continue, and it didn't look good here. Jake Sanderson scores, assisted by Riley Gregg, and they were up by 2. Good, thank God Montreal didn't fold and snap and crack and break. 15:36. Slavkovsky gets another nice beauty, assisted by Lane Hudson, and that was at 15:36. And Deneau. It seemed like the Habs were mixing the lines a little bit there. 16:41, Alexander Carrier finally makes up for many blunders, as I mentioned, on several goals by the Sens. So at least he doesn't quit. And Demidov got the assist, and Josh Anderson, who had himself a good game as well. That got us to a tie at 16:41. Then we had Cole Caulfield scored 33 seconds in a nice pass from Lane Hudson, and he makes no mistakes and wires it home using Suzuki as the decoy and just the shot fights right through. Good game, good resilience game. I would say if I'm the defensive specialist or coach or whatever, I'm not. This is not a good game for you, and the goaltending coach is not a good game. And there's nothing that says that Monty should be bragging about this one, because there was several goals, didn't look pretty, and yes, the defensive play was terrible as well. And Carrier was having a bad night before he made that play. So let's be realistic and start putting the onus where the onus needs to go on to. And that shows you that we got a problem with the defensive schemes not coming through. You need to upgrade that area, and your goaltending coach stinks. Stinks, because these goaltenders are flopping around like seals on their knees. That's got to change. Seeing it here at Center Ice, where the puck drops first. Go Habs, go! Glad we were showing good culture though. Thank God for that, and that's a great thing to have going. And let's hope we carry it through this week. So we'll be back to review the next game. Catch you in the next one.